Perfect. So Ruby is currently a UX designer at a data storage solutions company, Western Digital, and is responsible for all phases of the design process, from wireframes, conceptual design, prototypes, user task flows, and graphic production. Without further ado, please welcome Ruby Rios. Hi, thank you so much for coming and bearing with us.
Yeah, of course. I completely understand there's always technical difficulties now. And yeah, I'll get started by sharing my screen.
Awesome.
So let's see, desktop 3. I think you see my screen? Not yet.
Not yet, not on my end.
Okay. Let's see. No, I'm having technical difficulties.
All good, no worries.
Right. Share. Okay, I believe you could see my screen.
Yes,
Okay.
I can see it now. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, my name is Ruby Rios. I wanted to say thank you to Comision Femenil for this opportunity of me speaking to all of you, especially during our first virtual conference. I've had the opportunity to attend Comision Femenil conference when I was in high school, when it was held, physically held at Arleta High School, where I went to school. And now as an adult, it's been a great honor and privilege to give back and to speak to you all. And I love this year's theme of empowering the Latina through education, organization, and mobilization. So it was super inspiring to listen to Dolores Huerta's keynote presentation, and I feel like tearing up a few moments during her speech. So it was a very great honor to be in her digital presence. And a little about me. My name is, again, Ruby Rios. I am a user experience designer. I am a multimedia artist and a nature lover. And through this presentation, I want to walk you through not only my pathway into the creative industry, but also different pathways for you to pursue your artistic endeavors and become the future future creative professionals that you envision yourself to be, because it's not a straight linear path in the career industry, whatever branch you end up growing towards. So you do have to be patient and consistent and learn from your mistakes and continue to put yourself out there. And a little personal stuff. I do believe that the work that you put out makes a huge impact on yourself and those around you. And I am a huge lover and advocate for nature and sustainability. And it's something that I minored when I went to college. But a few personal things: I do love running or trail running at Hanson Dam. It's a local green space in our community, and I've been going there since I was in track and field during high school, and it's a place that I find a lot of peace. So throughout this past year and all the chaos we went through, and through all the stress that one can go through in their professions, finding those elements that bring you peace and stability are very important. So these are mine. I also love hiking at Griffith Park with my friends and camping. And during the pandemic, I think I became more outdoorsy. And I'm a monarch mama, where I have milkweed at home and I care for the monarch caterpillars until they take off. And I think finding native milkweed is very important for you helping their journey. And I love my family. My family's from Zacatecas, Mexico, where we would go almost every year. And it's a place that it is my home of homes. But Yeah, I went to a few schools here in the San Fernando Valley. I went to Ranchito Elementary School, um, Fulton College Prep, Bucoya Middle School, and Arleta High School. And throughout my journey here, especially during high school, I think it's very important for you to take advantage of all the extracurricular opportunities that are available to you, and also take AP classes. I took AP Spanish, English, History, and Art. And by taking those AP classes, I was able to kind of narrow down which direction I wanted to go down. I also took community college classes at LA Trade Tech Center. I took a class in fashion merchandising at the time, and I highly recommend that you take courses that you're interested in, because it'll show you, or you'll get to learn about yourself and if that's the path you want to take or not. I decided not to go down the fashion industry, but I'm very glad that I took the time to take the course and figure out right away that's not what I wanted, as opposed to going through the whole pathway and then going to the, you know, like it was a lot easier for me to narrow down my choices that way. And when I was applying to colleges, I applied to different Cal States in the area. I was going to go to Northridge, but I decided last minute to um, kind of ruin my parents' plan and go to art school. And that was a decision that was very tough on all of our ends, because I had to do a lot of convincing and persuade them that this was a pathway that I wanted to take. And I went to Otis College of Art and Design and studied toy design and sustainability. And that was um, very new, because a lot of people that I knew went to local colleges, or they stayed within the bubble here in the Northeast Valley, and not many people ventured out, or I didn't know those who ventured out. And when I went to art school, and this might happen to you or not, where you're the only person that looks like you in these spaces. And for me, that was a culture shock, because there were different people there were people that I wasn't exposed to during elementary school, high school. And overall, it was a great opportunity for me to learn different um, uh, art and design branches that I can go out to, from fine arts, toy design, fashion design, product, digital media, and I feel like I'm forgetting one. Oh, communications. So I went down the toy design path because it was something that I've found very appealing. And during my internship, I would have the opportunity to work at a inflatables toy company called Best Way Inflatables, and they were based out of Shanghai. And I had the privilege to um, go to Shanghai during my internship and learn about the design process, from designing toys and getting it manufactured and produced. And I was able to design this product, which was the luchador kind of like punch bag. And that product was actually made and manufactured, and it's something that I have somewhere here. But during my time there, I did not like the pollution that came with manufacturing, and especially with plastics, and seeing um, how many long hours of factory workers were working creating these plastic products that at the end of the day, I knew it would go to a landfill. Even though it was satisfying to have this product made, I knew that it was not, I was not following my truth. And I did pivot when I came back, and once I graduated college, I decided to work for a local nonprofit, DIY Girls, which was founded by Luz Rivas, which you'll hear a little later. And through working at this nonprofit, not only was I able to use the design skills that I learned through my studies and my internship, but I was also able to work with an amazing woman, Luz, and work with young girls in our community and learn new skills, because I am a designer by trade and I'm not an engineer. But by working at this nonprofit, I was able to learn engineering concepts and teach those to the girls by becoming a program mentor. And also by using my design skills, I was able to work on the branding and all of the marketing assets, the social media, the website, some print work. So it was a job that made me very well-rounded, and I'm very happy that I had the opportunity to work for DIY Girls. And I've also had the opportunity to do some work for Comision Femenil a few years back by doing a refresh of the website, digitizing some of the digital assets that are used now, like logo, and making it more easier to be used. And I'm very happy that a lot of the work that I did for Comision is still being used today. And that was also a great opportunity for me to give back to my community, because I was able to attend Comision during high school, and I was using my skills to give back. And after doing this work for Comision, I also worked for a different nonprofit called Iridescent, which was very similar to DIY Girls, where you're teaching youth design and technology and engineering. This one was very challenging in a sense, because there were two different websites, and this was more of like the exposure from design work and learning about websites to actually learning about user experience and how users interact with websites, how they interact with apps, and how our websites made. And I went through a few coding boot camps, one of them being General Assembly, another one being Sabio, where I learned how it's made, because there is the front end, which is more of the visuals or what people see and how they interact. And then there's the back end, where are those interactions going? How is the data being stored and collected and sorted? And by going through this boot camp and learning how to code in front end using HTML, CSS, and some vanilla JavaScript, not so much, but it allowed me to become more refined. And throughout every phase of my career and how it changed, it's very important for you to always learn new skills, because they kind of like stack up on each other like Lego blocks. And one skill you learn, your foundation becomes even stronger. After going through a coding boot camp, I started my own startup a few years back, 2 years ago, called Seed, Sustainable Entrepreneurial Ecosystem Development. And this was a wonderful opportunity that I had, where we would create automatic planter systems and help farmers from underserved communities implement smart irrigation systems. And going back to what Dolores mentioned, that you learn from your mistakes, even though this was a beautiful, beautiful seed that I planted, it does require a lot of work and a lot of you for you to have your startup, or for you to push your startup into a place that you want it to be. And sometimes it's for me, it was like I bit more than I could chew kind of situation. And I knew that as much as I loved the genesis of this, I was not able to care for Seed and for have it grow into where it can be. So it was a tough decision that I had to do and let it go and hand it off to my co-founder. But that opened up the pathway for me to start working at Western Digital, which is the data solutions company. And here I had the opportunity, even though like we're all remote at the time, or we still are, I've met amazing people or designers that are more senior than I am. And that was something that I was craving back when I was the only designer at these nonprofits or the only designer at the startup, because I wasn't feeling challenged. And at this company, I am, since I'm working with seniors or designers that are levels above me, they're able to guide me through this whole process of understanding our users, understanding our customers, and kind of digging a lot deeper into what we're building and the interactions. And as I mentioned earlier, like as you go through your creative endeavors and as you become creative professionals, you do have to be adaptive and learn more and change and be open to changing your career, because I started off in toy design and now I'm doing user experience design for a data solutions company. So you have to be open to that change. And as you go through your journey, I highly recommend, especially those of you that are in high school, to look into community colleges. And these are a list of some local community colleges in our area where you can take classes and kind of see if that is the pathway that you want to take. As I mentioned earlier, I took a fashion merchandising class at LA Trade Tech and noticed that that was not the right path for me. So for you to take courses that are like low risk, as in like you're not paying so much to attend these classes, I highly recommend it. There are also free online learning platforms where you can go and take free classes online from edX, Udemy, Coursera. There are so many out there, and I highly recommend that you go through these platforms, create an account, and also learn or just explore. There are a few, or this is a list of local and or national art schools or in design schools. This was me going through design school. I think it opened up a pathway that I would have never imagined. I was glad that it pushed me outside of my comfort zone, and I was able to expand my horizons and meet interesting people, and also be in a position where I can give back to my community using skills that I've learned. And as challenging as art school was, with it being project-based and you having to deliver deadlines on a short time frame, or you being around people that don't have a similar background or experience as you, I think puts you in a place that you find you really value what you have at home. You really value your culture and traditions. And by you coming in with that experience, you are very, how would I say, like, not only well-rounded, but very valuable in wherever you go. So there are different, I made a mistake. There are different careers out there in the arts, from graphic design, toy design, user experience, fashion, illustration, what else? Digital media. I highly recommend that you go and explore, find different resources, take the free classes, take classes at community college, apply to your college or university of choice, and just continue learning and exploring and making mistakes and learning from your mistakes, but also just getting back up after you fall. Even though paying for college can be scary, especially going to a private art school, here are some resources that that I did that helped me pay for college. And having that tough conversation with your parents is the first, because for me, everyone was set that like, oh, are you gonna go to this school? I'm like, oh yeah, you know. But since I I threw a curveball at my parents last minute that I was going to go to art school. Having that tough conversation is very important. Applying for FAFSA and government loans and Cal Grants is very important, as well as doing a work study program at your college or university. And I know later down or later today, we're going to go through different ways to pay for college. So tune in on that one. But one thing that I do recommend, because going through the creative field is very, it can feel very unknown and scary, but continue to create, because for me, I love to sketch, and these are one of my first sketches, and this always follow your truth, because even though like you go down one pathway, you find out that's not what you truly want. It's totally okay to change it. You don't have to stay on a straight, rigid path. And yeah, this is one of the quotes that I really like, that we cannot fix yesterday, we can only create tomorrow. And I strongly believe that, I strongly believe this quote, because you don't want to, even though like I've made mistakes throughout my creative and professional journey, there's no reason to dwell in the past, but continue to create and to move forward. And yeah, I wanted to say thank you all for joining, and I do want to hear more about this audience and kind of learn more about your pathways and what do you want to learn. So thank you.
Thank you. Awesome presentation. I have a quick ask. Can you go back to the resource slide so that people can write down the websites that you suggested?
Yes.
And we'll keep that up just so people know. That's super valuable information right there.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So first up, does anyone have any questions? You can type them in the chat, or you can unmute yourselves and ask Ruby. I'll give you a couple of seconds. If not, I have some questions prepared too.
I don't see any in the chat.
Okay, I'll go, but feel free to jump in. All right, so Ruby, what are the characteristics you feel make up a successful designer?
I would say being adaptive and having that growth and learning mindset, because you always have to, technology is always changing and it's changing rapidly, and you always have to continue to learn and grow. Because if I would have stayed, for example, in that rigid pathway of just toy design and just designing visual graphics, who knows what would have happened, like let's say when I was in that pathway in 2020, like I would not have been able to adapt, and who knows what position I would have been now. So you never know what kind of curveball life is going to throw at you. Like no one knew what would happen last year. No one knows what's going to happen 5 years from now. But if you have that mindset of always learning and always adapting and always researching different resources and technologies that are out there for you to become a more well-rounded designer, I think that would help you in becoming your version of success, because success is very subjective. So someone's version of success is different than someone else's. But yeah.
For sure.
We do have a couple of questions, Ruby. And I just want to remind our group that we have, I think, 5 minutes left. I just want to say that. So one of the questions is, what coping skills did you most rely on when you were overwhelmed in your new professional environments?
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie, for that question. And I would say that one of the first slides where I mentioned, like finding things that ground you, things that make you feel, yeah, I guess ground you. For me, not only being outdoors helped me cope with the stress and being overwhelmed with my new professional environments, but also having a network of women that I know and admire and that are also on similar boats, because I do have friends that are in their own professional career, which is different than mine. But understanding that you're not alone in this is very helpful.
Awesome. Did you want to go?
Yeah, we have another one.
Okay.
I think it was, what is your dream career? Do you have a dream career?
I would say the one I'm on now, because I love doing user experience and user interface, and I love learning, and I really love the company that I work for now. It's a place where I see a lot of growth, and a place where I genuinely feel that my voice is heard and valued, because I know in a lot of spaces where there aren't that many Latinx people, like you feel that imposter syndrome, or you feel that you don't belong here, or you feel that your voice isn't really heard or valued. And it's the opposite for me here, where it kind of feels like a dream come true, because it's everything that I've ever wanted. Not only am I with a great team, but I'm also in a place where I can take care of my family. And when the pandemic started and my parents weren't working as much, the tables have turned, where now it's like, now I'm the one that's providing, and thankfully I was in the position that it was okay for me to do it. And so yeah, I think right now is my dream. I'm living my dream.
That's amazing. Awesome. There's another
Also,
one. I think I'll communicate this correctly, but how did you branch into art in high school?
Oh, yeah. So when I was in art school and when I was taking the AP classes with Mr. Martinez in at Arleta High School, we um, we visited a lot of campuses around the area. And one of the campuses that we visited was the Otis campus in Westchester, which is by LAX. So by actually physically going to the school, that kind of like made me switch gears, and like, this is where I want to be. This is the people I want to be surrounded with. And yeah, I would say take your AP classes, take other sources or other courses online, or community college courses, because that really will allow you to explore different pathways and see if that one's right for you or not.
Gotcha. Okay, so we have about a minute left. Rapid fire answers on these last two. What do you think is your next step towards your future?
Next step, I do want to become a senior UX designer. So I do want to go down and learn more and become a director one day.
Sweet. Okay, last one. Are you ever scared to share ideas of a new creation or project because you thought someone might steal it, run off with it, or make it bigger and faster than you could? How did you know who you could trust?
Oh, that's a hard one. But
Oh,
I would say don't be afraid to share your work. And don't be afraid to get feedback from other people, and put yourself out there. And if someone does take your work, then it kind of shows that you are on the right path. That if someone's going to, they wouldn't take something that they find is worthless.
sure.
But when it comes to all the entanglements and nuances of having someone like